When people hear Rome, they often imagine grand marble temples, noble senators in white togas, and a civilization that laid the foundation for modern democracy, law, and architecture. From Hollywood epics to high school textbooks, the Roman Empire is hailed as the pinnacle of Western civilization. The myth of Roman civilization for centuries, Rome has been credited with bringing civilization to the barbaric corners of the world. It gave us the alphabet, roads, aqueducts, legal codes, and the idea of a republic, or so the story goes. But here's the truth. Rome didn't invent many of these things. It borrowed, copied, and conquered. The Roman alphabet came from the Etruscans, who got it from the Greeks. Democracy? Not exactly. Many people believe the Roman Republic was an early form of democracy. It wasn't. Rome had a senate, yes, but it was controlled by an elite class of landowning aristocrats called patricians. The majority of the population, plebeians, freedmen, women, and of course slaves, had little to no political power. Even when popular assemblies were allowed to vote, those votes were often rigged through complex voting blocks and patronage networks that favored the rich. Rome was built on slavery at its height. The Roman Empire had an estimated 1 in every 3 people enslaved. That's not a footnote. It's the engine behind Rome's economy, military, and culture. Slaves built the temples, harvested the crops, served in households, mined precious metals, and even taught Roman children. Entire economies were driven by human bondage. Rome didn't just tolerate slavery, it glorified it. They turned it into entertainment. Think of the Gladiator games. Slaves and prisoners of war butchered each other for the amusement of Roman citizens in arenas like the Colosseum. Genocide as foreign policy. Let's talk about Carthage. In the Third Punic War, 149 to 146 BCE, Rome destroyed its greatest rival. But they didn't stop at victory. They obliterated the city. Every building was torched. The population was slaughtered or enslaved. According to legend, they even salted the earth so nothing could grow again. Historians debate the salting story, but the intent was clear: total annihilation. And Carthage wasn't the only target. Corruption at the core. The Roman Empire didn't fall because of barbarian invasions or climate change alone. It rotted from within. Corruption was baked into the system. Senators routinely bought their positions. Governors looted the provinces they were supposed to protect. Emperors were assassinated by their own guards for a higher bidder. Women and minorities left behind. Roman society was deeply patriarchal and misogynistic. Women couldn't vote, couldn't hold office, and had limited property rights. Their primary role was to marry, breed, and obey. Yes, some elite women like Livia or Agrippina held power behind the scenes, but these were exceptions, not the rule. And if you weren't Roman, or worse, if you were African, Middle Eastern, Celtic, or Germanic, you were either a second-class citizen, a colonial subject, or a slave. The role of propaganda. So how did Rome convince the world it was noble and glorious? Through relentless propaganda. Emperors commissioned poets like Virgil to write epics about Rome's divine destiny. Historians like Livy rewrote early Roman history as a patriotic fairy tale. But didn't Rome leave a lasting legacy? Yes, it did. But legacy doesn't equal virtue. Aqueducts and roads? Useful but not unique. The Persians and Greeks had them too. Law codes? Many Roman laws were cruel and class-based. They legalized slavery, corporal punishment, and the execution of dissenters. Architecture and language? Impressive, but again, built on the backs of stolen labor and stolen land. Conclusion: greatness at what cost? Rome wasn't great because of its virtues. It was great because of its violence, because of how thoroughly it could conquer, control, and convince others that it was all for their own good. And maybe that's the most dangerous part of all. The myth of Rome teaches us to admire empires, not for their justice, but for their power. Not for what they created, but for how long they lasted. But what if longevity isn't greatness? What if building roads and libraries means nothing if they're drenched in blood? The Roman Empire didn't bring civilization to the world. It brought Rome's version of civilization, a version defined by control, conquest, and cruelty. And if we keep celebrating that uncritically, we become the next empire pretending it's a republic.